we'll see when it first loads the page. So when I create this UL element, then this class is added to this UL element, as I'm showing you in here. Then this entire stuff, after the compiler reaches the semicolon, it does not actually automatically or explicitly terminates everything. It still waits implicitly behind the scene. It's still waiting for further instruction from us. So it's also waiting. So it's also telling us that if you want to include further functionality to this UL element, then you can do so, but you can do so implicitly. So we assign this entire stuff to this featured list. Now this featured list now becomes part of the cheer IO, or part of this UL element that we just created. So when it becomes part of this UL element, so now the compiler will think that now the compiler will consider this to be part of the cheer IO. So now we can use this featured list. So now, sorry for that, so now the compiler will actually wait on this featured list variable for us to include further functionality. So we use this featured list, we use this variable, and then as like before, we add further functionality to this variable. So this functionality will be included with this unordered list. Now there's one interesting stuff that I forgot to tell you. You don't need to include something like this, because jQuery or our cheer IO is more intelligent enough to understand that we want both of this opening and the closing tag. So you can just include the opening tag. So let's get back to this loop. Now we add more functionality to this entire unordered list. So what we are actually telling through this, what we are trying to mean by this append method, we are trying to retrieve the elements from this JSON array at the first instance. So you can see that this is an array, and this I, when the loop runs for the first instance, if you are familiar with this for loop, then you should be knowing that when the loop runs for the first instance, this index will be replaced by the value of 0. So JSON titles and looking for the first, looking for the 0th index, which is it's looking for the first element. So what's the first element? It's the first title. So it's taking that first title from this array, and then it's wrapping that this title by including it inside the list opening element with the list closing element, and then this entire thing is added inside this unordered list. So what's happening behind the scene is that first it's retrieving this first title, and then when it retrieves the first title, what it does, it will do something like this. It will retrieve the element, then it will place that element inside this list element, the opening list element and the closing list element, and then this append method will take this entire stuff, or it will take this entire stuff and include it inside this unordered list. So this append method is taking that entire list element that includes the first, that includes the titles, and it will place those titles inside this unordered list. So it will look something like this right now. So when the loop runs for the first time, you will have this first element. If the loop runs for the second time, you will have the second element enclosed likewise inside list element. Then you will have something like this. Let me show you this. When the loop runs for the second time, you'll have the second element printed or included in the DOM. We are actually populating the DOM up to right now. We did not tell the DOM to take the map and to place those mapped elements inside this HTML template. I'm just doing this for this demonstration purpose. So the actual stuff was, we had the handler like this. Okay. So now, let me erase this off. So this loop will run for 5 times actually, because the length of the JSON titles, the number of elements we have is 5, so the loop will run for 5 times. Now, after the loop has terminated, or it has included all the list elements inside this unordered list, we need to tell the DOM to take that entire mapped element and to place that map element inside this HTML page or this HTML template. So how do we do that? It's very simple. Let me create another variable called HTML and then HTML page. I'm going to explain this, so don't worry. Replace. So here comes the fun part. I'm calling the list element, the list handler, and then I'm telling the DOM to take the map, and to place that entire mapped unordered list, just to take the unordered list from this entire HTML content. Just retrieve the list, find out this list handler, and take the entire feed.